Where were you during the Illuminate invasion of Super Earth? Were you simply an idle civilian or a proud citizen, heroically protecting Super Earth against the enemies of democracy? Having been out for over a year now, with multiple updates to shake the narrative, as well as its ups and downs, Helldivers 2 is still going strong. But apart from its fun cooperative play and strategic gameplay, what is it about Helldivers 2 that keeps it feeling fresh all this time? Today I will be democratically diving into the brilliant satire of Helldivers 2, and how the overall tone of the game keeps it fun. And yes, I will be comparing it a fair bit to Starship Troopers, but will refrain from the constant desire of wanting to know more. So let's dive right in. Helldivers 2 is an action-packed, co-op, third-person shooter where you play as a Helldiver, an elite unit sent on specialized missions to various planets across the galaxy to spread managed democracy in the name of Super Earth. From the get-go, you get the wonderfully brilliant opening cutscene, which shows the peaceful Super Earth suddenly attacked by this mad brute, followed by what looks and feels like the perfect propaganda recruitment video, narrated by the man who has been affectionately called by the community as John Helldiver, telling you why you should become a Helldiver to restore peace to the galaxy. And it's a perfect intro to the game and sets the tone immediately.
Become part of an elite peacekeeping force!
Now, I never played the first Helldivers game, but judging by its trailer, it's clear that the overall tone was set from the very beginning. And I feel like in Helldivers 2, they pushed it even further. So much so that it would be difficult not to realize the satire. Then again, when I was a kid, I saw Starship Troopers as a heroic movie of man versus giant bug. And as an adult, I realized the anti-war sentiment and satire on jingoism, while also still enjoying it as a heroic movie about man versus giant bug. Similarly, Helldivers 2 knows how to have fun with it. I remember as a kid, I was heavily into bugs and creepy crawlies, so I was torn between backing my own kind or the multi-legged works of nature. But such sentiment to the enemy could land you in hot water in the world of Helldivers 2, as you would be seen as a sympathizer and therefore a traitor of Super Earth. There were even some missions in the game where you had to stop propaganda broadcasts from those speaking out against the war, and you would be patriotically rewarded by applying swift justice to the broadcasting towers. It also took me too long to realize the propaganda was coming from other humans, as I wondered how evolved the bugs were to be able to spread propaganda against the Helldivers. There are several clever Orwellian names and satire on the news in Helldivers 2. The overseeing body that feeds the propaganda to the citizens of Super Earth is known as the Ministry of Truth, a direct reference to George Orwell's 1984, as well as some of the names that you can choose for your ship that sound right at home from the novel as well. I chose Protector of Peace, because on paper, it sounds righteous. You are there to ensure that peace prevails, but in action, it could mean protecting the peace of Super Earth by carpet bombing other planets to oblivion, and casually committing atrocities.
Are we the baddies?
Spoken like a true politician. And when you tune into the in-game news that you can watch on your ship, you are treated to strawman news. Get it? Like a strawman argument? It's very blatantly obvious and oh so tongue-in-cheek, which honestly makes the whole thing feel fun. The lore in this game feels very alive and real, because it very much pokes fun of what exists today. One of the main foes you will encounter in this game are the Terminids, giant bug-like creatures whose main strategies are infestation and swarming in great numbers. Throughout the game, you soon learn that the Terminids secrete a substance known as Element 710, which is quite valuable to the war effort for Super Earth, and you'll also notice that when you flip 710, both vertically and horizontally, it blatantly spells out oil. Kinda reminds me of the real-life Operation Iraqi Freedom from 2003, where the original name for the operation was Operation Iraqi Liberation, until they realized that it spells out oil. Well, at least they were being
I was
honest.
just thinking, warping across the Federation like this would be impossible without Element 710, which comes from the bugs themselves. Their own corpses are fueling the creation of more corpses. Something satisfying about that.
One of the other foes you will encounter are the Automatons, also known as the bots, who, if the Terminids were heavily inspired by giant bugs like the arachnids in Starship Troopers, then the Automatons are something straight out of the Terminator movies. Deriving from Cyberstan, from the previous galactic war, these bots are much slower than their bug counterparts, but make up for it with sheer firepower. As they manufacture more killbots into the fray, their autonomous, mindless existence makes them a great enemy to the free peoples of Super Earth. Even though some level of blind patriotism from Super Earth doesn't sound so far off from the never-ending conveyor belt of ruthless killing machines.
The lives of humanity's present are a crumb. The lives of humanity's future, a boundless loaf.
We finally have the Illuminate, also known as the Squids, who are a very War of the Worlds inspired alien faction, complete with tripod walkers, known as harvesters, as well as elite soldiers, including these undemocratic flying varieties, and their main cannon fodder horde, made up of former Helldivers, turned into unpatriotic zombies, known as the Voteless, because there's nothing worse for managed democracy than a former citizen who cannot vote. Some of them even try to salute before they are put out of their misery, loyal to the very end.
History matters. At the end of the First Galactic War, we magnanimously allowed the Illuminate to flee the galaxy. Now, they're back. Why? Because they hate peace.
While each faction offers different playstyles and strategies to counter, there is an argument that the bugs are simply wild animals, where good and evil isn't even a concept for them. The bots are simply programmed, retaliating rather than instigating. And the Squids are literally just aliens who have beef with Super Earth, because maybe Super Earth started it. I'm not too familiar with the deep lore, but there's a lot of questionable actions from Super Earth and the Helldivers, much like a few real-life wars, maybe all of them. But I love that the love for this game extends outside of it as well, because questioning the war effort in the game will garner responses from fans saying that they're dobbing you into the Ministry of Truth for treason, and I live for this level of roleplay outside of the game. Next, we'll have a look at some of the weapons and tools that the Helldivers can use to aid them in their battles. And again, a lot of the names used are very tongue-in-cheek, but get the message across. As a side note, I love how this game actually has friendly fire damage. It not only makes you choose your strategies wiser, but it also illustrates that war is hell. In fact, this is probably one of the most cinematic and brutal depictions of warfare that I've ever seen in a video game. And it's fun! If you're ever injured in combat, you can rely on your trusty industrial-grade painkillers. While stimpaks are nothing new to the sci-fi genre, they heavily remind me of the German soldiers using methamphetamines during World War II.
I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
So they would be able to march further and fight longer under the use of hard drugs.
Injury? What injury?
And it makes sense to keep the Helldivers from feeling pain so they can push through and finish the mission.
Reloading. My life for super art!
Speaking of missions, once you complete a mission, you can extract and be sent home to see your families. Just kidding, so you can do another mission. But if you happen to complete the mission but fail to extract, you still win. Your fallen comrades are remembered for their war effort and you lose a few points, but you still win. The use of music is done very well as well, as the Helldivers motif can be heard throughout the game, from launching onto the battlefield to completing objectives, and finally extracting, playing heroic music that makes you feel proud to be human. I also can't help but think that the theme kinda reminds me of the Clendathu drop from Starship Troopers, so that makes it even more epic in my books. So, with all that in mind, does the Satire and Helldivers 2 make the game feel more fun? I certainly think so. The game would still be fun without the satire, but it definitely adds that extra layer of charm, which I think would feel emptier without. Kind of like in the Command & Conquer games. You would still have solid games without the fun cutscenes, but you would lose some of the flavor that makes up those games, like missing a key ingredient to your favorite dish. Recently, there was a major order in the game to defend Super Earth against the Illuminate invasion, where as the days progressed, more and more cities fell to the alien invaders, but dedicated players from around the world joined forces to defend their home. When 2 major cities remained, with one of them on the brink of collapse, dedicated players, primarily from China and the US, implemented key strategies to defend the cities, and due to the time difference, meant that the Chinese players were defending while the US players were sleeping, and vice versa, ultimately successfully defending Super Earth and sending the invaders packing. The cooperation was so impactful that it even made it onto Chinese news, proving that gamers have better relations with one another than politicians. There's something kind of funny, but yet very cool about a game that satirizes patriotism and war, that brings people around the world together in such a wholesome way. It is a fun game after all. So, if you're ever wanting to join the war effort and help your fellow Helldivers, then what are you waiting for, soldier? Grab the game now, or wait till it's on sale. And with the infamous region lock now reversed, finally winning against tyranny, there are even more Helldivers joining, and more room to celebrate. So, if you ever fancy a fun, strategic co-op game with a growing community and knows how to have fun and not take itself too seriously, then become a Helldiver today. We have the ships, we have the weapons, but we need more soldiers. We need Helldivers like you. So join today and fight for Super Earth. Thank you so much for watching. Are any of you fellow Helldivers? And if so, what missions do you prefer? Bugs? Bots? Squids? I like a bit of variety myself. Do you guys have any favorite games that satirize real life in a fun way? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.